Bob Rodriguez, Casa Garden. Welcome to the OCGFAM show. Viewer questions 21. I'm excited.
Indeed you are. My head's cut off there.
All right. I thought you were going to start over again.
Nope. Head's gone.
We got questions. Big Poop. That's his name. That's not what I'm... Oh, that's not my commentary.
That must be Nathan from In Your Earthworm. Big Poop. Just kidding. He's not a big poop.
No. He likes the big poops, though. I had a big poop the other... We're going to get on the questions.
I will keep that in. Leave one good embarrassing one for Bob.
Love the... Like a ship had beached itself.
Like needing a hatchet on the side of the toilet kind of situation?
Love these shows. I'm running the entire nectar line and getting fabulous results. Started with the base 4 and slowly worked to every bottle. Nothing but quality with nectar. Much love, everyone. So now, that wasn't exactly a question. Hold on a second. There was one where he was saying he started. Did you take that one out?
I haven't touched them.
Okay, well, hold on a second. Okay, well, so we're going to go down to Grumpy Bird, because I want to talk about, kind of getting started with it. He says, this is my first grow, and right now I'm using Zeus Juice, Medusa's Magic, Gaia Mania, Herculean Harvest that I got from local grow shop. Just purchased Bloom Chaos, Athena's Aminas, and Demeter's Destiny, and am I missing anyone? Great outcome from the 4, have plants looking awesome, just wondering if I use the other 3 when I go to flower stage, will I need anything else? Now, I would just say, I'm sure he's using Olympus to adjust his pH.
You would hope, but oddly enough, a lot of people aren't, and I'm starting to see a few people run into issues because of it.
Okay.
One of them was on the end of this conversation just because I just emailed him back right before we started the show.
Well, I've seen on this Amazon that they have the starter kit with no Olympus, but it does have a little peeper.
Who's the store they saw?
It was, I don't look that often. It was long ago. I don't remember. But
if you're buying nectar off of Amazon, be prepared to not get fresh or legit or real. I mean, call the supplier, because honestly, we don't sell on the Amazon platform. OCG does not sell on the Amazon platform. Those are all third parties, so they make up their own little box kits and whatever they got going.
And they're presumably paying more than OCG does because they're the biggest. The biggest seller in the world, and so they're doing that and then marking it up to put it on Amazon and pay Amazon all the money they want out of it. So there must be some sort of way they're getting it cheaper, which is because it was a closeout or something of that nature, possibly.
Yeah, who knows?
So, but anyway, not the point. Not the point. Olympus Up, super important because you have to adjust the pH of your mixture if you're just getting started. Watch a video, go search, Olympus Up in the thing here. Although
it's a key, it's literally one of our key fertilizers that we have. We just call it the pH up because the pH is so high it can't be a fertilizer unless your water's terrible. So, I mean, it is a critical piece because it is in all these episodes in the past. You hear about alkalinity. Well, Olympus Up is alkalinity in a bottle. All you have to do is react that carbonate to a bicarbonate, and alkalinity presents. But for these starter guys like him, we really always have never been beyond encouraging of. Start with the 4, get through a round with the 4, and then add 1 or 2 bottles at a time to see if these new components actually make a difference in your garden. You're not going to miss out on an amazing grow or product by running the main 4. Okay. You'll only see slight enhancements or, drifts in how these genetics express themselves in your garden. And to me, if you don't have a baseline knowledge of what you started with, you don't really know what you're looking at when you get the new fancy flavor or taste. You
got nothing to go
get out of the gate. No, stick with the 4 or 5. You just added 2 more. I'd say run those 2 for a round. See what you think of that. The next one would be, and there'll be a question at the end where we kind of break down. Here's what you can add, or if I had to make a recommendation of products to buy in order of use, as far as this round I want to add 1 or 2 more bottles. We have it broken down in this, here's how we'd break it down. Like, here's the other 2 bottles I'd buy for the next run. If that makes sense.
I was watching this video. I can't remember the guy, but he was talking about weightlifting and cooking. Working out with weights. And how, there's all these people that will argue over the smallest little thing of should you have your hands this way or crossed this way or backwards. And that these are just minor adjustments to something that largely works.
Oh, yeah.
And then if you get your 4, it's going to work. You're going to be okay. And these other things are, going to make it better, but they're not going to be the make or break. And you don't need to stress over it a whole lot. But with these ones, Athena's Aminas and Demeter's Destiny, you would dump those in any time. You can't really go wrong with those, can you?
No, and I mean, is he asking when to add those? I mean,
Well,
just follow the
I think
schedule.
what happened was that he dialed into the 4, ran a run, and now he's probably in veg on a second run.
So he probably looked up like what comes in the sample kit. That's which is great. So those are the next two because you got calcium and amino acids, which are both huge on the building, the cell block building in the plant. Definitely balances the basic 4 and then rounds out the whole picture for the growth. So I mean that's a great place to be, and I think after that you want to just enhance your flowering stage.
So with those, I mean, when you add Athenas and Demeters, do you think you're going to have fewer problems with deficiencies and stuff like that, or are you pushing harder and you're going to have the same?
You'll get more. I mean, you'll see more development, more vegetation, more flower sites, more. Because you are encouraging more cell development in all stages of the plant. And that's the nice thing about Demeters and Athena. It's not a grow food, it's not a bloom food, we need to build cell food.
Okay.
It's building plant mass, no matter what stage you're in.
These are somewhat, to some extent, problem solvers that you're going to have less issues than you might have otherwise using the 4. Although not saying you're going to have issues with the 4.
No, it's the next two.
Yeah.
Like, if you have CalMag deficiencies, I got a lot of guys that run the basic 4 and then say they have CalMag issues. It's usually a pH issue or it's an antagonizing element that's reacting to something and making these elements not available. But if you feel you need that CalMag piece, then the Demeters is bringing in that CalMag calcium that's going to help chelate the magnesium and make that less noticeable in the plant as being a deficiency. So you don't have to run out and buy an off-brand CalMag product because the whole industry is CalMag. And I mean, this is no new story. We've been chatting about this for 10 years.
STP was not the racer's edge.
No, exactly. Yeah. She's probably went. But exactly,
it's not putting a fuel additive is what it was back in the day. It's like this is what's going to make the whole difference. It's like no, this probably doesn't even
lead back and unleaded. Is all you did. But I mean, it's a lot of times when people have issues with the basic 4, it's because they're antagonizing it with a non-nectar product that's reacting to the basic 4 that's not allowing the full expression to happen. So, I tell people, if you want to just hybrid, then, run a baseline nutrient, a salt-based like NPK, GH, whatever, and then run our calcium products if you're going to add in and do a hybrid. But if you're going to do a hybrid with our base 4, and don't add salts to the base. Our base 4 has to work with alkalinity and calcium uptake, and then adding in something that's like a potassium hydroxide or a high level calcium nitrate, that's going to antagonize our uptake. And then you're going to run into different deficiencies or toxicities or weird looking plants, and it's usually because the two different types of feeding regimens will not blend well together. So you're actually creating, a locked out soup by making this fertilizer with all these things. Then you're trying to offer it to the plant who's like, I can taste the potassium out of this, out of that. Everything else is locked up, so I got to wait for the microbes to eat it. So,
So the bloom chaos, is there any, so you're doing 4 plus Athenas and Demeters. Is bloom chaos the thing you do now, or you still got some other things to...
I mean, we still offer it in our sample kit, so a lot of people still jump right on it. What I really still highly recommend is when introducing chaos, introduce it at a rate that makes you fear God. I mean, it's like 1 drop per gallon, 1 mil per gallon, then 2 mils per gallon. Just slowly introduce it in your garden, and not just because it makes things happen, but if your plants have never seen it, you've never grown with nectar, and you got clones from a friend who's using front row ag nutrients, you put chaos on there, that plant doesn't even know what calcium is yet. Now you're telling it to suck up as much calcium it can possibly do. Usually the newer the generation of plant stock that isn't on nectar mothers or nectar grown parents will definitely tend to shock or show really weird signs when first using chaos, especially when the plant's never even seen nectar. I mean, it's a calcium delivery, it's a calcium absorption, and if you put a bunch in there and your plants are young and you got them from another source, it just doesn't play well. So, that one guy that we have all the questions from on the East Coast, New Hampshire, he just started working with chaos because he's been afraid of it, and rightfully so. We're dealing with all these other issues. But slowly ramping in at 1, 2, 3 mils over a 3 to 4 week period of time. Now that he's got his plants acclimated, they're heavily fed with nectar, he's just like, wow. I mean, I understand the throttle concept, I had my foot on the gas and then I hit the nitrous button and this thing just went to town. And so don't be ready to, don't use chaos unless you're ready to really start reacting, feeding, and paying attention. If you're about to go on vacation for 4 days and you're like, hey, I just got this chaos, I'm going to give her a test and then have my girl do it while I'm gone. No, that's a bad idea. Slowly introduce it, get acclimated to it, get comfortable with it, and then learn how to drive with it.
So I get the feeling in this question he may be thinking that he hits the bloom chaos when he gets into bloom. Would you safer bet start early veg with your bloom chaos, like running it all the way through?
Like 1 mil per quart as a foliar, 1 mil per gallon as a watering, and slowly increase it so you don't get into bloom and then shock them. Because if they're not ready for that, then they're going to kind of go into panic mode for you. But if you start really light and slowly increase it, you should have zero issues. If you open the bottle and like, sweet, it says 5, I'm going 10. You're dead. Your stuff is going to be like this tomorrow. It's going to be contorted and mad. They're not ready for a heavy dose.
Okay, good answer.
Baby steps chaos always.
Always. And more herc. You would add more herc to back up.
Just ramp. But if your plants are first or second generation on nectar, then more herc. If they've never seen chaos, even more herc is not the answer. It's less chaos, and then build up your supply chain. So, take it easy.
All right. Yep. Not yup, it's yep. That's what we used to say when I was a kid. We used to say yep. Yup is new.
No, yup's that guy who did the storage unit guy. Yep. What was that? Storage Wars.
Not a big watcher of the Storage Wars.
Oh man, back in the day, Rainy Sunday. Yep, guy. Anyway.
He says, are all enzymes the same or are they different? Now, we're thinking about SLF100 and Fuckenstein's, those guys. What's the one you use for cleaning stuff out?
Oh, there's a bunch of enzymes in the industry, but no, not all enzymes are the same, and not even some enzymes that are supposed to be the same are the same.
But there's none like SLF, really.
Not marketed in our industry.
Yeah.
SLF is unique because it's bacteria-derived enzymes, where most enzymes in the industry are basically just mineral-based enzymes, or a reaction of some type of chemical reaction that created this enzyme that becomes like a digester or a wood fiber breakdown product. Or SLF is a constant consortium of bacterium that's living, dying, breeding, and changing all of its populations regularly, that's creating this natural enzyme. So, really what he'd love to do is be able to market that as a microbial liquid.
Sure.
With an enzyme backing, but because of the way our industry's rigged and we can't play the game, it's much easier just to say enzyme because it's there, but he'll never make the microbial claim on a bottle, only because those populations are never... If you take a snapshot today and a week from now, you might have a bazillion of total bacterium, but this one may go up and this one will go down and vice versa, because they're cycling populations in this bottle at all times.
So an enzyme is
a lie.
Something happened. We think something made it happen, and that's something we're going to call an enzyme.
We know this definite, and we know this definite, and how it got to here is an enzymatic reaction, or an enzyme did it, or, and Newton would, go look and listen to Newton's enzyme definition on the scientific level. There's definitely a scientific method on enzymes, but from the Frank side of it, going, well, photosynthesis is because this enzymatic reaction creates this, and it's like, well, when they say that usually means... Well, we know this happens, and we know it gets to here, so we assume through enzymatic reaction, but they don't really know what that means.
It's like when you drink your coffee, and you go, what made that happen?
Psychosis. But SLF is not necessary. It's a totally different beast, and not all enzymes. And really with enzymes, be careful. Do a little bit more due diligence on your research, because a lot of enzymes in our market today, in our industry... they're non-selective in what they break down and digest. So if you've got a soft-bodied beneficial bacteria or fungi in your soil, it'll wipe that stuff out as well. So sure, I helped digest this excess salt, or I broke down this excess fiber. However, now I got to re-inoculate all my bacteria and all my fungus, because this thing also destroyed that entire field. So SLF, you can comfortably, you can drink it, I drink it, he drinks it. It's designed to be heavily used as a microbial enzyme.
Unlike the others, which are like Lieutenant
re-inoculate.
Dan, when he's down there and we're danger close and the whole thing, and drop it on us.
Yep, blanket of death.
Okay.
And they work. I mean,
Yeah,
I mean, if you're totally locked out, your soil is a brick of crap, and you can't get water to run through it, and you're just frustrated, Hygrozyme will help you with that situation, but you got to recompost tea, you got to re-mycorrhize, you got to re-inoculate your bacteria, and then go right back to feeding. Because it just strips the soil, everything.
Dumps it.
Yeah.
Okay. Good answer. We're moving now. Craig Boyd. Okay, thanks for this video. I wonder which video it was.
It's not this one, because this one's bad. This might have more thumbs down than ups.
They don't show you how many thumbs ups it is or downs it is anymore, I think. So
just
we're
the
fine.
ups.
I can't remember what it was.
Because they show thumbs up, there's no downs.
Yeah. Well, you can down it, but it doesn't show the number of downs. Because people
don't want to hurt feelings?
No, it's not that. People would have down mobs where they would get pissed at someone over, like you'd have someone that had an opinion, and they disagree with his opinion, not with his fact, with his opinion, and so they'd say everybody in their circle would downvote him to make his opinion less, and so it's kind of dumb that way. In my opinion.
The feelings police say...
It wasn't exactly the feelings police.
Well, kind of.
Well, it was the feelings police would get their feelings hurt about the thing, and they would go downvote it just because they didn't like what he said.
Right, those are the feelings police.
Yes.
So then you destroy a guy.
This is to destroy the feelings police. But, these are contentious times.
Oh.
Craig Boyd. Okay, thanks for this video. I'm in the second week of flowering and I was concerned about foliar. Oh, see, now this is from an old video about foliar. He's like, I didn't know you could... People always say you can't foliar feed in bloom. And now there's two issues here. And the main issue being that, it gets crunchy and you get a flowery situation. You don't want to get that thing wet because it'll fucking mold.
Well, I mean, when it's on the vine, it better not be crunchy or dry because then your shit's been dead for a minute.
Crunchy was a bad word for that. It gets all flowery and juicy. And
you don't want to incorporate moisture in the heart of the flower, that's for sure. So, I mean, but with that being said, as long as you're not going, here's my flower, squirt, 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 and you got all this foliage down here, mist, 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 you can still foliar feed. I mean,
okay.
Right or wrong, Frank foliar feeds all the way to the harvest. Don't do that. No, it is more, the bigger concern is once you get a decent development of fruit on the plant and you've got, not just one but 10 calyxes all set up and they're starting to design the flower, that's when you really want to start going, okay, I'm going to be more careful on my foliar feeding because you don't want to introduce moisture to the developing fruit as it's actually stacking on its weight.
Sure.
Because if that moisture gets stuck in there, it could create mold or mildew or a rot situation.
Also,
so
it's it doesn't really, although this plant's out in the rain, but rain can be really bad at the end.
Right now, it's like everybody out in Oregon's going, crap, it just rained for 2 straight days here, and now we're going to have 7 days of 84 degrees. So, there's going to be a lot of mold and a lot of complaints coming here real soon, but usually, like an indoor situation, you go from veg to bloom. The first 2.5 weeks, you're still setting the fruit, and you can still foliar feed well into the second week of flowering
when
without
it starts
any issues.
Multiplying and flowering.
Yeah, once you're like, oh, hey, look, it's a female. You probably got 3 or 4 more days of good foliar feeding. Okay, yeah, look, it's starting to actually stack. Then that's when I stop.
Yeah.
Unless I have to treat for something, but that's right.
And then you just hope for the best.
Well, and then I usually cover the flower and hit just the foliage.
I got you.
So I'm trying to avoid as much moisture on the flower as possible.
Is that why people use those woof 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 things, the kind of vaporized things that do for that? Some of that stuff is so it doesn't get so wet on there.
No, that's just for delivery because you're you're taking a water droplet and you're making 70 out of it so they can actually absorb faster.
Have you seen these the Dawn dish soap and you go and it sprays out a big mist of stuff?
Like a foam?
No, it's like a mist. It's like a way better sprayer. It's my understanding that you can buy these sprayers and it's like way mistier. Way mistier sprayer. Do you think something like that would be better or who knows? For cleaning your car, yes.
I know like using one of those foggers for foliar feeding is far greater than a dollar store spray bottle.
Because it gets more
it's
in
getting
there.
more of the finer, and it's surface area, it's the droplet size, your plant can absorb it a lot better if it's smaller it is.
Okay. That was useless. Sorry I brought it up
there.
Grumpy Bird. This is my first grow, and right now I'm using Zeus Juice, Medusa's Magic, Gaia Mania, and Herculean Harvest. That's one we already did. Sorry. Not having a great day today.
This is brutal.
Family Adventures. I've been feeding nonstop and haven't been, I don't think we could do that show where we just talk. People have been saying, you guys could just talk, it'd be hilarious. I don't think it would.
No, it would end up in screaming and yelling and super bad names and a lot of cancellations.
Maybe it would work then. I don't know.
What I want to do is I want to get a dash cam and a face cam and just do a weekly hour of me going from work to home.
See, now you may not know this, but you can get a app for your phone where it'll do both cameras at the same time. See, that's what you need right there.
Oh yeah,
I
would have to be totally private, and you'd have to sign off that you can't quit me or quit the nutrient line when you hear what I have to say. But I bet you would be pretty entertaining.
I have a title for the show. This fucking guy.
I'm pretty close.
All right, Family Adventures. I've been feeding nonstop, and I haven't been doing any flushes. But I'm getting buildup on top of my soil and think it's calcium. Should I flush it or just ignore it? Everything's growing fine and perky.
So he's not in one of the groups, nectar groups.
Yeah.
He probably doesn't have the Nectar Bible.
Probably not.
Because that's not calcium, that's gum.
Yeah.
It's from the bone meal, and it's a protein that's created, we put in to emulsify the digest. If it's really bad and it's becoming a problem for you, there's a couple things you can do. One would be top dress with a little bit of worm castings, a little bit of mycorrhiza, and some fresh soil, just a nice inch on top. The bacteria and fungus will start breaking down that protein, which is a gum. It's not calcium. And that'll help loosen that up and turn it back into a food source. It's harmless stuff. It just is literally gum being filtered out on the top layers of your soil.
This is like what keeps your Coca-Cola from not separating or whatever kind of situation. It's like
Coke should never separate because it's phosphoric acid and sugar. But
things that do separate.
Milkshake.
Yes.
This is the same concept as like using a xanthan gum in a milkshake to emulsify the sugars in the
whole thing.
So when we digest liquid bone meal, it's digested down into a pure liquid. And then that would run right through your soil if we just watered that in. So we wanted something that would slow down the run through the soil, gum, and also it's a really enticing protein for microbial activity in the soil. So being that it's a protein, it's now attached to calcium phosphate from the bone meal. It goes into the soil, and it's actually encouraging microbes to break it down and eat it. So it's just a microbe food, and it prevents water out.
So this is one of those things that it's not so much a problem as it appears to be. It's not a feature, but it's like it's a thing, and it's not a big deal. But if you really have to deal with it, a lot of people have said, like, use the hygrozyme. It seems to me that you would just scrape this shit off if it was bugging you, but they'll be, well, I'm going to mess up my root thing and stuff. Using any other way of getting rid of it seems like it would be far worse than just, Yeah,
well, and that's it. I mean, it's a tough one because people often will fill their pots too high, and so then they have to give them like 1 cup of water at a time. So
they don't have any sidewall.
I'm so veteran to this, so if I'm using a 15, I leave about that much on top, and then that gum builds up, and I literally just take my 2.5 gallon feed, throw it right on there. I feed all the plants, and then I come back, and that one's just finishing up, and I'm like, looks great.
Well, I've often felt like it was kind of a feature in that when you pour the water in, you're like kind of like trying to pour it all around and everything, and then you dump it in, and it kind of just
slowly absorbs
goes down.
And it doesn't come racing out the bottom, which is the other thing. So if it gets really bad, and I mean, I've seen guys that are pushing Herc at 10, 14, 12 tablespoons, and it's like there's no soil left. It's literally a cake. Those guys, you either scratch that up, but again, like worm castings, that bacteria in worm castings, fresh mycorrhiza, and just a nice fresh layer of soil, that soil becomes the sponge for all that solution, and then all that life in that upper strata of soil just wants to break that protein down. So they'll make pretty quick work of it. It's not going to be tomorrow.
Yeah.
But, 5-7 days later, all of a sudden your drainage is incredibly enhanced because of the living organisms that are eating that stuff. It's designed to eat the organisms. Now, why it builds up there is because the UV of your light and the air and everything above there's no life on the surface of the soil consuming it from that top because we're killing it.
Yeah.
So if you put a layer of soil, you're creating a little UV filter for your bacteria and fungus. Then they can become very aggressive at eating that stuff.
Okay. So the nuclear option of hygrozyme is probably almost never the way to go.
That would be the one time where it'd be like, nothing's going through. Let's
then
hit
you
some
do
hygrozyme because it will break that stuff down, and then you can come right back and re-inoculate, and it's going to not build up as fast. So that's the one time. Like I think it's probably 5-6 years old, but I still have a bottle of hygrozyme for when I push with Herc. So
if you knew you were going to have this issue, would you get ahead of it, like scraping the topsoil every once in a while? You just don't worry about it.
I don't, because it's food for the bacteria and the fungus that I'm putting in there. So if I'm trying to get rid of their food, then what am I feeding them? So I have no problem with it myself. What I do is I preemptively leave myself a big gap in the top of the pot so I can water my way, and if it gets really bad, it buys me an inch or two of being able to top dress with fresh soil. So
ultimately, if you had some room, you just throw soil over the top of it and let it just
eat. Because if I put a shade, then the bacteria and fungus want to eat it. If I take away the shade, bacteria and fungus aren't going to live on the soil surface because the UV lights are killing them.
Of course.
They want to be subterranean. And if you're on the surface going, I'm trying to eat this, but that 7,000 watt bulb is burning my back. It's weird. I guess I'll die.
See, I don't think we ever talked about this before about the UV light. At least I don't remember it.
We just made it up again.
Oh, well,
but it is. It's like soil surface. That's the problem. You go down below the surface, everything's moist and hyphae are growing.
Yeah,
it's not on top because nothing's going to live there. The UVs will get them.
Of course.
Bacteria is very small. It's not like a spider.
Yeah. And especially inside where you've got really intense
light. Or LEDs that are penetrating through canopy. Because, like an old MH, you can keep a nice humid canopy or under canopy. But these new LEDs are just, they pound.
It's crazy.
I wonder what the health benefit or health issues are going to come from this. There's a lot of radiation in those things.
Huh. I don't want to think about that.
They're about to be your streetlights in front of your house.
Well, they're in my house.
Well, Springfield's doing that now, changing all these to blue daylight spectrum LEDs. And it's like, you know how horrible that's going to be for our plant life in this town? It's like, everything's under 24-hour freaking lighting now. It'd be stressed out plants.
Okay. Just keeps going. Chlamygula. Chlamygula. That's great. He says, how can a fella on the East Coast come across some Apollo and Pluto?
Unfortunately, only through OCG until we get these ag inspectors to... this has been a nightmare.
Seem unfortunate. That seems like a perfect situation
for
me.
But on the East Coast, it's their biggest problem is I can't hit the free freight minimum piece. And these are not the other problem. And Christopher and I are going to sit down next week and talk about a secret button, off-label Pluto. Because, this has been a year of waiting for California and Oregon to stop.
It's not happening.
Yeah. Just bad words in us.
Yeah.
So we're just going to go ahead and put it on the back channels of the web store because at this point it needs to get out. People have been trying it. They're loving it. And we're basically killing off the other microbial offerings that we offer because we just don't trust them.
Yeah.
So what we want to do is get this out there. But the only way you're going to be able to do it currently would be through OCG because even if a store wants to buy it direct, we can't legally sell it across state lines into a retailer that isn't registered at. So... it will be a minute before it's on the East Coast, unfortunately. But you can call the Department of Ag in Oregon and California and find out what's taking them so long.
I'm sure they'll love that.
I'm sure they'll love me. Sure. We heard you were telling people to call us.
So that's not going to work.
Yeah, so we went ahead and just blocked this. We see Apollo's already been approved, but we're going to go ahead and stop sale.
It's probably hard to believe we have a paramilitary operation, but surprise, surprise!
See your new tax bill you just got? Yeah, that's for our...
okay.
Yeah, that's a tough one. We're trying. It's just a battle.
Hey there. So... since these run so long, we've been thinking it might be better to split them up into 2 parts. So that's what we're going to do. Part 2 coming tomorrow. I love you, and I'll see you then. It's the OCGFAM Show.